So in the last video, we have learned how to create .xls file using the Apache PY. So if you use the HSSF workbook method, then you are able to create the workbook and then sheet, and then you have created the individual rows. If you look at here, first you have created the row 0, that is first row, and then you have created the second next row, and then this is create 0 is first row, and then 1 is the second row, and the 2 is third row. So let me show you what you have created earlier. So let's say you have an Excel file. So let me show you what you have created earlier. So you have created sample 1. So this is what we have created with the sheet name input and then UID and then password. And you have how many rows you have here? One, two, three. Three rows. Always it starts from 0 row. So this is 0 row, this is first row, this is second row. So that means if you look at 0 row consists of the header, UID and password. And first row, that is here Vijay and ABCD as password, that's what you have created. And then second, that means your third row consists of Ajay and then the password. So now what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a new Excel with data as my sheet name, and I wanted to have ID and then name and then phone number. Assume these are all the three columns I wanted to have, and I wanted to have four rows. Let's say ID is my first row, and then this is second row, this is third row, and this is my fourth row. I wanted to create like this. Names I'm going to give Ajay, Vijay, and then Sanjay. And then phone numbers, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, assume these are the numbers I have given. You can give anything, whatever the valid numbers also you can give. I'm just trying to show you how are you going to create the data in the Excel files by not using this individual row creations. We wanted to do it using an array. How are we going to do that? So for that, I'm going to create a new class. Let's say create a new class, create Excel using array. Okay, I'm just giving it as Excel array, and then select public static void main and click on finish. So that means you're going to pass the total rows at the same time. So how we are going to create? So as you know already how you're going to create the workbook first. So whenever you wanted to create the workbook first, so what is the uh, class you have to use, built-in class, that is HSSF workbook. So you are going to make use of HSS workbook, and then you're going to give it as the name as WB is equal to same thing. You're going to copy and then you're going to give it as new and then HSSF workbook. Now import the respective package. See here, you're going to import it. And after creating the, as you know, how you will be creating the Excel, first workbook, and then you're going to create the sheet for that, and then you're going to create the rows for that, and then you're going to create the cells. So now you have created the workbook, and then you're going to write HSSF sheet. That means you have to create the sheet object is equal to WB is our workbook, and then create sheet. So what is the sheet name we wanted to give? The data. So let's go and then give the name as data. So the next part is done. So the next step, what I wanted to do is import this package also. So import this, and the next one I wanted to pass the number of rows what I have to pass. Let's say I'm going to make it as object because I wanted to pass all the rows. Collection of elements is called array. That means you are sending all the rows and columns at the same time. So what is your data? My data name is student data, STUD, STDL, put student data since it is array, two-dimensional array, you have to have two square boxes and is equal to, you're going to pass your data and then semicolon. Now, what is your data? Array data. So you're going to pass first one, as I told you, that is your student ID, that is ID, and then the next one is comma, name, and then the next one is phone number, PHONE. So this is what your first record, that is the first row, comma, and then you are going to copy paste the same thing, and then you are going to have the second row information. That is, let me put the first one as ID, that is ID. Okay, so that is my header. So next one, Ajay, and then you have given phone number. You no need to put in double quotes. You can just simply write 1234. So that's what we have given, 12345. You can give 12345, and then copy paste the same thing for the second record also. What is your second record? Your second record ID is 2, and then its name is Vijay, and then 123456. That is the phone number. You can give whatever the data you want. And the next one is Sanjay. Make it as 3, and then you're going to have it as Sanjay, and then 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So this is my data. Now what I wanted to do is, if you look at, so this is what we are going to create. So if you look at how many rows are there, this is first row, second row, third row, fourth row. That means when you have total number of rows are 4, it will start, because it's an array, it will start from 0. So 0 is your first row, this is your second row, third row, and then fourth row. Now total how many rows are there? 4 rows are there. So if you look at here, now if I wanted to identify the total number of rows, I can write int rows is equal to, what is your array? Std data dot length. That means you are going to get the total number of rows for this particular array. And if you wanted to have columns, how many columns we have? We have only 3 columns, 1 2 3, ID, name, phone number. So let's see, COLS is equal to get the columns, you have to take the array, one of the element. So I'm going to take the array first element, which holds in the row 0, dot length of it. So when I say first row, that means first row will consist of 3 columns. Similarly, second row also will have the same. Then automatically you will be able to get the number of rows and columns. Now what will happen if you just run this program and see how many total number of rows are there by using system.out.println, the rows is your value, and same if you wanted to see the columns also, you can have it and then try to print the values. Obviously you will see the total number of rows and columns, or the rows are 4 and columns are 3. That's what it will print. See, the number of rows are 4 and number of columns are 3. So now what you want to do, you have to iterate this and then send the data to the Excel workbook and create the Excel workbook. So I'm just showing you what is that we are going to create. This is just a reference. I'll close this file, and this will not be the file which we are going to make use. I'm just explaining you this is what we are going to create. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of for loop. So if I make use of for loop, and then obviously you're going to get the total number of rows. Let's say if I use for loop and I wanted to iterate for int row is equal to 0. That means I wanted to iterate it from row number 0, that is my first row, and then r less than rows. That means how many total number of rows are there? My length is 4. That means it will have 0 row, first row, second row, third row. And then you're going to have r plus plus. So then you're going to end the rows. How many total number of rows? You're going to iterate it. And you have to iterate the columns also. For that, you need to make use of another for loop because you need to have rows and columns. So on what basis you are going to do? You are going to identify the number of columns. Columns is equal to 0. I'll make columns as C, and then you are going to write C less than total number of columns are COLS. That is the variable we have taken, and then you are going to increase the C value, and then you are going to write the code here. So now what I am going to do, see, this is your 00, 01, 02, 10, 11, 12, 20, 21, 22, 30, 31, 32. So hope you understand. So whatever the values you have here, this is your 00. So what we are going to do, first of all, you need to understand what is the row here. For that, you need to define HSSF row. That class you have to use. And then you are going to define the object. Row is equal to row will be there in the sheet. So sheet we have already created, right? SHEET, small letter SHEET, sheet dot. I'm going to create the row. Create row. So what is that? I have to pass all these values. That is, my variable name is R. That means it has to start with 0 and then increment like that. How many total number of rows? It has to increase. Now let's import this also. See, create a row, and then what it will do? First, it will take the row 0. So this row it will take, and then it will iterate till those many columns 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2. It will iterate. Next, the row value will be incremented. That means R plus plus means it will go to first row. So first row means this one, 1 0, 1 1, 1 2. So like that, the data will be iterated. And then what we are going to do is we are going to create the cell. Cell will be HSSF cell. The value is cell is equal to whatever the row you have, that is the row object which you have created here, dot create cell. Create cell you have to make use, and then you are going to have the cell corresponding cell value. So now since you have to place that value into the two-dimensional array, first import this. You have to bring the array value here, that is your object. I'm making it as variable or the variable or the cell value, whatever the cell value, whether the cell value is 0 or cell value 2, whatever you need, you just need to make sure that cell value, you can make any other variable because you will be getting confused with the cell value and other. So I'm making it as var, the variable value. So it could be first 00 value or 0102, whatever it may be, is equal to your student data. Take the student data, and then you are going to have the row value, and then you are going to have the column value also. That means this is what your all the values will be stored into this variable. First 0 0, next 0 1, 0 2, like that it will iterate it, and then automatically your value will be retrieved. So now if you look at your var value, so whatever the cell value you are retrieving, that value you are storing, it can be a string or it can be a integer or it can be any other type also. For that, what you have to do is you have to convert or typecast the value. Whatever comes in, you have to make sure that the value is properly captured. So you make use of if condition. If your var, whatever the value you are getting, if it is an instance of a string, if it is an instance of a string, what you have to do is you have to just make use of your if condition, and then you are going to write whatever the value you have. You are going to write the cell value, cell dot, and then set cell value. So the set cell value, you are going to take string. Set cell value string, let's say that as string, and then your variable name is var. That's what you have to define, and then close this bracket. Okay, so this is how you will be creating the value. You can just adjust the syntax. You don't need to have these brackets also, just remove all of them. Set cell value string, set cell type or set cell value. Yeah, it should be set cell value only. So just to make sure that you are giving the right brackets properly, so that you have to have one more bracket here. Just ensure if you give proper brackets, automatically it will be done. See, so this is done, and your if condition is also done. So now what you are going to do, you are going to have one more if condition is done, and same thing you have to do it for integer also. Copy and then paste it here, and then if it is integer, if it is integer, if it is integer, then you're going to make the value as integer. So if it is boolean, you can write boolean. Since we don't have any boolean, I'm not writing any boolean value there. So now automatically your values will be written to that particular cell. And finally, what you're going to do is, once the data is written to that, you have to store that into one file. So where are you going to store that? So I'm going to store it in the same location. You can copy paste the same previous code what you have written in the previous Excel file. Like, you just copy these two lines, copy, and then paste it here. After two for loops, just paste it here, and I wanted to change the file name to student. Let's say I'll make it as student. So if you look at in your test data, you don't have any student data. Okay, so go here and then see, there is a error. See, add throws declaration, capture that IO exception, and then obviously it will create the data with the respective data what you have given. Now if you look at in the test data folder, you don't have a student file. Now if I run this script, then automatically it will create the ID, name, phone as a header, and then this data also will be stored into this Excel file. This is how you will make use of array to pass the data. I'm closing this Excel file and then save it, and then run the script. See what is